And yes, good evening, everybody. We're still here, March 15. It's 8 past half past 7. Sorry for being a little bit late, but it's a extremely busy and a hectic day because Volt is running in 5 different cities all over Europe, or better, France and Germany, but that's more than half of the European population probably. And today it's an extremely important day. There are local elections in Bamberg, Lille, Lyon, Munich, and Paris. The voting stations, the polling station, have already closed in 3 of these 5 cities. Meaning the 2 German ones, Bamberg and Munich, and also in Lille, although the French counting will start later on at 8 o'clock, and we will have also French guests later during the evening. But I'm not alone tonight. Here with me there is Tim Goldman. Good evening, Tim. I think Tim Goldman is muted right now. Tim Goldman is.
Ah,
Here you are. Yeah. Hi,
yeah,
can you hear?
welcome everybody. I'm from Germany. I'm Tim Goldman, and I'm watching the results for Munich and Bamberg. Yeah.
And I think you already have some information about Bamberg because Volt is doing actually quite good in the mayor and municipal round of those elections.
Yes, that's true. In Bamberg, Hans-Günther Brünker is going as candidate for the mayor office, and we have the first results. And he is currently at 1.6%, which is extraordinary because we are higher than the FDP, which is quite a party in Germany, and we are higher than BM, which is a local list in Bamberg.
Thank you, Tim. What does it mean for the local politics? I mean, do we have a chance to enter the Stadtrat, or better, the municipal council in the city of Bamberg, which is in southern Germany, in Bayern?
I don't think we are now. It's not possible to say this because the results for the city council are will come later, and now the results only say if the candidates for the mayor office will be mayor or if there is a second round, like there is in Bamberg, for example. Andreas Starke from the SPD has 35%, and Glusenkamp Jonas has 24%, which will go in a second round of voting. And yeah, but there's no chance at all for Hans Günther, but we have quite a outcome. Quite 1.6% is quite good for the first time in Bamberg. Yeah.
Especially considering that the turnout of voters today was particularly high, being in a municipal election, and considering the coronavirus spread that could have prevented a lot of people to vote for both health and safety reasons.
Yeah, we have a vote outcome of 48.3% in Bamberg, which is good. I try to find um, from 2014, but 58% is good. A lot of people voted per postal vote system, and yeah, that's quite good.
So not only in Bamberg, in Germany, there is also the capital of the Bavarian state, Munich. The counting there, especially because it's a very big city, is going a little bit slower. But what is going on there? I mean, where Volt is running, especially in Munich, for which institution, and when do you think we can expect to have some update about the situation in the Bavarian capital?
I cannot say this. It will be later this evening or even tomorrow morning, but we will see. Yeah, I'll keep you updated if anything is new. but we have also a quite a good 2014.
Election in Bamberg. There are
A list for the city council, and we are waiting for the results in Munich.
Thank you, Tim. I think we lost you for a few seconds here. So, what is going on in the meanwhile for the rest of the electoral competition that we are witnessing tonight? So, at 7 o'clock, the polling stations closed in Lille, in France. At 8 o'clock, instead, they will close in Paris and in Lyon, two bigger French cities, of course, the capital, and then Lyon, which is another bigger city. The electoral system in those two cities is a little bit different between themselves, even because that depends a lot on the on how big is the population for the city. Meaning that in Lille, where we are running in a joint list with the Green Party, we may have already the results tonight, although it is likely that there will be a second round of the election, so we won't know immediately if we will manage to elect one of our candidates or not. For the other matters, so when we're talking about the elections in Lyon and in Paris, we are not running for the mayoral elections, but just for the municipal council, which is another quite complicated voting system. We are running in some specific districts, the 9 districts of Paris, and also we have Umedi, which is one of our Emile Umedi, which is one of our candidates in Lyon. We will have them later on, also with Fabiola Conte, which is the main candidate in the Paris election. And we will learn a little bit from them how was campaigning in Paris and in Lyon and in Lille. Also, we will have Sven Frank later on, although Sven Frank may be really busy in dealing with the second round election, because there is a very good chance that the joint list between the Green Party and Volt will reach that second round against the socialist candidate Michel Aubry, which is a quite popular politician, quite popular political person in France. So that is putting Volt in an extremely interesting perspective. Going back to Germany instead, Tim, my question to you is, how was campaigning? In the meanwhile, I think our viewers can see already a little bit of updates with Hans-Günther Brünker getting 1.6, 1.7%, depending on where do you put the final number in the percentage. But this is the result that it's coming out from the elections in Bamberg. But generally, what was the perception of our campaigning in Bavaria during the last weeks, where all of the German teams, not just from Bavaria, were involved? Okay, it seems that Tim cannot listen to me, so I'll have to restart the conversation with him. But in the meanwhile, I'm trying to keep yourself updated on what is going on tonight. For those of you who have just joined the live streaming, we're live streaming the municipal elections in France and Germany, more specifically in Bamberg, Lille, Lyon, Munich, and Paris. We already have the results in Bamberg, where Volt was actually an extremely interesting result with our major candidate Hans-Günther Brünker getting 1.7% of the votes. This won't lead him to participate to the second round of the election, which will be between the candidates of the Social Democrats and the Green Party, but it can give us a chance to enter the municipal council in Bamberg, although this is still something that we have to understand before we do any kind of speculation. There is no update in Munich, there is no update in Lille, which are the two cities where the polling stations have closed already. In Munich there is something going on for the matter of the mayoral election, but we are not running for that specific position right now. I don't know if Tim Goldman can hear me now, because I had to restart the process. No, it seems he cannot, so I have to restart Google Meet once again. Unfortunately, tonight it seems that we have quite a few of technical problems, and we're sorry for that. It was, of course, an extremely hectic day. There are news all over Europe which are not about the municipal elections, but about the unfortunate spread of the coronavirus, where there were countries that took extremely relevant decisions in terms of freedom of movement, which is something that usually would not go together with our thoughts of free borders. But of course, this is an extraordinary situation where the lives of people are put in danger. And today the news is that Germany was closing its borders for the first time in a very, very long time, and in order to avoid the spread of the virus there. The actions have been taken in Italy, in Spain, probably taken in France. It was the same in Germany. So in Denmark, Germany had done it today for the first time. So we need to understand a little bit what can be the problematic behind it. I think we still have some problem with Tim Goldman. I hope I can get to reach him. The problem is actually on my side, because I can see that he's hearing me. Tim Goldman is our reporter from Germany and from Volt Bavaria, which is providing us the live information for this election. In about 10 minutes we should have also Fabiola Conti and Charles Leven from Volt France, and they will give us some updates for the election that is involving Volt in France, in Paris, Lyon and Lille.
Hello,
but so
hello.
far, yes, you can hear me right now.
Yeah.
Finally, hi Tim, you can hear me. I'm really sorry, it seems we had some technical problems. I had to entertain our crowd for a while. So I had a question for you right before we lost the connection. How is I was campaigning. What was the perspective that you seen from Germany in this Volt campaign for the elections in Bavaria?
Yeah, the campaigning was incredible. A lot of people, a lot of voters, a lot of people supported us and were on the street. We had campaign events in Munich, in Bamberg. We had a lot of people every day out on the street making campaigning for Volt, especially in Munich and Bamberg. Hans Günther was outside every day. In Munich, the same. A lot of people, the whole Volt movement was on their feet and supported Bamberg and Munich and Hamburg, which was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. It was incredible. The spirit was incredible, yeah.
Thank you, team. Now we are talking, of course, about the first results that we're seeing this evening, and of course we should see what is going on in Munich and in Lille. We had already some form of discussion 3 weeks ago a month ago basically, when there was the election in Hamburg, which was a great stepstone for Volt, a milestone for Volt, because we reached 1.3% in an extremely big and relevant city in a European perspective, and that has put us in the political map of Germany, at least, if not even of Europe. So my question is, how do you think Volt will relate with other political parties now that in Bamberg, for instance, we received even more votes than the Liberal Party, which is present in the parliament, and for several years it has participated to the national government. What can be the view that other parties will have about Volt?
Yeah, this is the first time that Volt is candidating in Bavaria. It's the first outside of the European voting election, but it's the first time that Volt is really into the local newspaper, and we are getting a lot of attention in the local newspaper, especially in Franconia, where Bamberg is, and in Munich. And this help us to get in the mind of the normal people. Yeah, and it's very important for us, and this will put us on the map, I think, for forthcoming elections in Germany and in other countries. The next election will be in North Rhine-Westphalia, and this will be very, very interesting because we've made a first little step, but we are in the newspapers, and that is what counts, and that is what we wanted to get attention, and that's very important for a new party. Yeah.
Thank you, team. And in the meanwhile, we say hello to Tobias, Reinhard, and Sven that are listening us in our broadcast. So, just to make a little bit of a perspective, because this is the fifth time we're broadcasting the election where Volt is participating all over Europe. We are doing it nearly every time, and basically it may be the last time for a while because a lot of local elections were postponed because of this coronavirus crisis. There were elections were planned in Italy, for instance, on May the 3rd in Südtirol, Alto Adige, and in the province of Trento, where Volt would have been running together with a few of the candidates of other parties, as the Green or Più Europa, which are two progressive parties, and the Green Party, of course, is known worldwide. In the meanwhile, instead, we were planning also for the regional elections in Tuscany, supporting the center-left candidate Eugenio Gianni, sorry, where we would have run together with one local party and another national progressive party, which is called Italian Comune. The problem is that the regional election and administrative elections in Italy have been postponed due of the coronavirus crisis, and that has led us to a little bit of a question mark when those elections will take place. Basically, most likely that will happen in autumn, so the local administration, the local councils will be still running for a while and until the crisis is over. Italy was also supposed to have a national referendum on a constitutional referendum on March 29th, but that referendum has already been postponed since several weeks after the crisis, the health crisis was kicking off, basically. So that constitutional referendum also will take place in autumn. Volt was basically campaigning for not approving the constitutional reform that will reduce the number of the members of the Italian Parliament and Senate. There are also talks that Volt could take place in the Catalonian election, but there is no update in it because the Catalonian Parliament has not been dissolved yet, as instead there were talks to, because there is a administrative crisis in Catalonia, but all the talks were recently stopped after the coronavirus crisis, so we don't know also what is going on in Catalonia. Elections instead were taking place in Germany, as Tim just said. The health crisis related to the coronavirus did not stop people from going to the polling stations and cast their vote. As you can see from the screen, in Bamberg, Volt had an extremely interesting result, 1.6, 1.7 It's what our mayor candidate Hans-Günther Brünker. I will get back to Tim Goldman in really soon. Also because in a couple of minutes we will have our French chapters joining us, because we will have updates from Lille, Lyon, and Paris. In the meanwhile, my question for Tim is, what do you think people noticed about Volt during this campaign, and what do you think people choose Volt? I mean, in Hamburg, we brought a lot of best practices from abroad, like Hamburg do like Rotterdam, do like Copenhagen, do like Vienna. What was the main campaigning areas that we took in Bavaria during those last weeks?
It's quite yeah, it's compared the best practice slogan. We used Wien, for example, for better living, or better better living would be the noun. And we've also we looked in other cities. We looked in Wien, as I've said. We looked in a lot of other cities, and we've tried also the best practice motif. What a lot of campaign teams tried to, or the program, mm, the papers which showed our program is, we've a lot of ÖPVN, it's called in German. That's the I have to look up the word in English. It's the
Yeah.
public transport, of course. A lot of programs are done for the public transport system. We've tried to get a ticket pricing system for young people and for old people, for students, which is a main goal for us. That's a part in Munich. A lot of points is for the digitalization, and for the participation system for normal people. That are two big points in those cities.
Thank you very much, Tim. In the meanwhile, we are trying to understand a little bit what is going on also in other countries. As you may understand, we're not English native speakers. The thing is that we are not even French native speakers. So trying to understand what is going on in France before our French chapters is joining. They can't join before 8 o'clock because they cannot campaign as the polling stations are over. I think actually we just got one of our most very important persons involved, which is Volt French President Charles Evan, which in Paris, I think it should be in Paris right now, and he can tell us some updates about the Parisian elections in the French capital. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening. Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
We're fine, and Volt is fine. 1.7% in Bamberg seems to be an extremely interesting result for a fresh coming
Super
party.
exciting. Yeah, no, it's super exciting. I'm really happy. Unfortunately, I don't really have any news with regards to the results in Paris. The French law requires us to not talk about elections until 8, which is why we couldn't come until now. But I look forward to seeing the results both in Paris and in Lille, as well as Lyon. Hopefully, we'll be able to get results from Lille sooner, since they closed an hour earlier compared to Paris and Lyon. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you, Charles. So, as Charles just said, there are 3 French cities in the run. Paris and Lyon have a different system than in Lille, and actually Volt is running with the two different electoral solutions within the French capital and the two other cities. Paris and Lille have a system which is related to districts, while I think we have Fabiola Conti, but I have to ask her to low down the volume because otherwise my voice will bounce in their microphone too. Paris and Lyon will base their election on districts, while Lille will base the results and the municipal council based on the majority related to the mayoral candidate that will win most likely the second round, and Bolt may be there because we're running together in a joint list with the Green Party, which has good chances to reach this second round. So after Charles from France, we have also Fabiola Conti, that is actually Italian, but she's running in Paris because we're an extremely pan-European party, and we are a pan-European party in every aspect. Good evening, Fabiola. How is it going?
Hi, everyone. It's going well so far very well because we don't know the results yet. It's a bit of a weird election because, as you might know, France is hitting the coronavirus curve at the moment, and it just started here, and we had a show up rate that is the lowest we've ever seen since the Fifth Republic. I heard in Paris. I haven't heard the final numbers just yet because the office is just closed. But we have our hopes. It's been a very interesting campaign. We would have preferred that it would have gone smoothly, that no pandemic disease was affecting Europe. But apart from that, it's been a very good run for Volt Paris.
Thank you, Fabiola. So we need a little bit of focus because the electoral systems are so different between country to country. France has actually complicated even more the things because there are different systems between different cities. So my question is, you are one of the candidates on the 9th district. What do you need to achieve in order to enter the municipal council and be actually elected there? I mean, what is Volt playing for in this occasion?
So we are, as you were saying, a list that is full Volt. This means that for the first time in the history, Volt presented itself at the Municipal in Paris. As you were saying, Municipal in Paris are a little bit complicated. I've been living here for 6 years, and I'm into politics, as you know while I'm here. But they're very complicated for me to understand as well. They are based in districts. In Paris, we have 20. And we decided to run for the 9th because two main reasons. It was in a short list that represents more the Volt values that the people that we target, the people that look more like us, so European, international, people that are open and willing to change or join the change. And actually, in terms of resources that we needed, because in France you need there is no signature. For example, I know that in Italy there are some signatures that you have to present to a notary that has to validate that, etc. In France, you don't need that, so anybody can go up there. You just have to follow a procedure. But that requires some people involved and some money involved. You have to print your own papers that are going to be put in an envelope and that the people are going to vote for. And if enough people put what we call vote ballot, puts our paper in the envelope, and we reach 5%, then we will be able to go to the deuxième, to the second round. In the second round, you will need the 10%, and then you will get, but already with the 5%, you get a seat at the table, so to the municipal council. So this is what, but at the moment, Volt is in France is smaller than it can be in other countries, like smaller in terms of force and awareness than Italy and Germany, for example, to mention the two that are here present. And so our goal for this election, it was more to understand as newbies how an election actually works, what is the system, etc., and to raise awareness around us. Because once you are in the official envelope of that the town hall, the city hall will send you, then people will see who we are. They might not know us, but they will receive a very nice paper where there's our picture as a party, and with our program and our values. And so we are 100% sure that every person that lives in the 9th and is registered to vote received this envelope with our with the vote colors and values in it. So that was the main goal, that to raise awareness. Then if we get the 5%, I'm going to be very surprised, but extremely happy. But yeah.
Just to follow up on what Fabiola said, I also wanted to. Some results came in, not the actual election results, but with regards to the participation rate. It's estimated right now. It's only an estimation, but they're saying it might be around 53% abstention, which means that the participation rate this election is close to between 15 and 20% lower than the previous election 6 years ago. So the results of this election is likely to be very different, and it's unclear exactly how this high level of abstention is going to affect the results, but we have to expect some very volatile results because of this high level of abstention.
Quite interesting, because in Germany we have a higher outcome in Munich, 10% higher than 2014. That's quite interesting.
So right now we have another person in our call, which is Sven Frank. I think is literally walking from the polling station to the office of the coalition. Sven Frank is one of the leading candidates of the joint list between the Greens and Volt, which is running in Lille, and is actually the one who may be, if we manage to win the second round of the elections, in the municipal council. So good evening, Sven Frank.
Hey there. Oh, so currently counting the voting bureaus, so I don't know how many there are, I think several hundred. So I was registered to count in one of where I live. So in this one, we won by quite a margin, but it's also a very green quartier. And I don't know if it's a good indicator, but like the participation was much lower. So last year in this office, it was, I think, 55%. This year it was 46. So what I heard from Charles, I can confirm. There was much less people coming to vote. I don't have any projections overall for Lille. Somebody said around 23%, which would be quite good. But we'll have to see, because if I read on our chat with the other groups who are checking the other voting offices, there's also places where we are third place or fourth place. So just because we won in our office doesn't say a lot. So I can give you more for now.
Thank you, Sven. How much
like
was the percentage in the district? What was the percentage on the district?
In our office, it was 478 votes, and we had 159. So 30 something. And the leading mayor was in third place with 100. And the Republic of March was in second place with 126.
Thank you very much, Sven.
So I didn't do the math.
No worries, Sven. Thank you actually for being here.
If you want, we can try to call back later. I have to check what's happening next.
Absolutely.
So we have 48 hours to decide what we do in the next round. So it's a tight schedule.
That is absolutely understandable. Thank you, Sven. First of all, now we talked about this already with Tim Goldman. Now I have the same question for Charles and Fabiola because Volt, for the first time, is participating in elections where in France where big parties are in. I mean, the République en Marche, Socialist Party, the Republicans, the National Front or National Rassemblement, how it is called now. So basically, as we are already running in a coalition with the Green Party, what can change in general in our relationships with already established parties? I mean, will they notice our presence? Did they notice our presence during the campaign? How was our relationship with them?
So since we've now entered, so since Damien is in alliance with the Greens at the European level, and now our Lille team is in a coalition with the Greens in Lille, we've noticed that the Greens in France are starting to actually know us decently well. While we were giving flyers in Paris, once or twice people have stopped us and they're like, oh no, like we're voting for the Greens, but best of luck. Like I think within supporters of the Greens, we're starting to make ourselves decently well known, which is good. I think the major one of the major things which we need to be aware of now is that we've obviously got a lot in common with the Greens. Climate change is one of the major, building a green economy and climate change is some of the things that we have a lot of in common with them and we want to focus on a lot. But at the same time, it's also important for us to make sure that people don't always associate us with the Greens because we're a different party. But overall, I still think it's a really positive thing that we are starting to build some great relationships with a lot of people supporting the Greens throughout France.
Thank you, Charles. Fabiola?
I agree. It was surprising the reaction that we got from people when we were distributing flyers, talking to people, because everybody is at the same spot. So everybody hits the market on the Friday afternoon, and the Green Party, especially, they knew us. Some of the parties tried to mock. Yeah, but we don't know you. And I'm like, well, you're gonna know us very soon, so don't worry. But the reaction, it was generally welcoming from people, even people that were like, well, I don't know you, but you look like fresh and new, so, and I might not agree with you, but good luck with it. So at least there was, in the most cases, a lot of respect for what we're doing, which is something that I have to say I didn't expect from established political party, because we are very different. So, and but I agree with Charlotte, the party that is acknowledging us the most, it's the Green Party, because also exactly we have a lot in common, and they also are smaller and they're not established parties like the others. But I have to say that what surprised me was respect from everybody that was discussing with people. So that, at least there's that.
Thank you very much, Fabiola. In the meanwhile, we have some updates coming from Germany, where Volt is running in Bavaria. In Munich, it is likely that there will be a second round of the election between the Social Democrat candidate Dieter Reiter and the Christian Social Union candidate Christina Frank. While the Green candidate Katrin Habenschaden is right behind Christina Frank, so there will be most likely a second round between the Socialist and the Social Christian, or the Christian Democrats, call it as you please. We don't have any update instead for a vote in Munich, as this is the count for the mayoral candidate, and Volt is not running for that specific election in Munich, while we are doing it in in Bamberg. And as you can see in the screen, Volt reached 1.7%. We won't be in the second round, which will be a match between the Greens and the Social Democrats in this
There are actually new results for Bamberg.
Yeah.
We have, now that all regions are counted, we have 1.5%. It's a bit lower, but the other parties also lost a few percent. That's not a big problem. And this may be the preliminary outcome, because now 75 regions are counted from of 75. We have 1.5%. We are still higher than the FDP and the BM, Bambergs Mitte, which is a local list. While FDP is the liberal party in Germany, which is a nationwide party, and we are higher than the FDP, which is quite extraordinary for Bamberg. We have on the vote outcome for it's 55.5%. This is higher than 2012, which is also extraordinary because of the coronavirus spread, and a lot of people voted via postal electoral system. And we have also a second round for Bamberg between the Social Party, which is Andreas Starke, and the Green Party, Grünes Bamberg, which is Jonas Glüsenkamp. We have a second round there.
Thank you, Tim. In the meanwhile, we got some comments from Hans-Günther Brünker in the chat, and we are extremely pleased of it, because we were not expecting his intervention tonight. We thought that it would have been too busy counting the votes or releasing interviews. Instead, is with us. Right now, we are trying to reach him, so maybe we can have him in our call, and that would be extremely pleased. We will be extremely pleased for that, because of course his participation, his first presence, his first-hand experience can be extremely important. If you give us a few seconds, we're gonna reach him, because it is actually we just need to invite him in our call, just to gain some time. So I have to reach Hans-Günther in the meanwhile. Do you have exit polls from Paris or from Lyon about, of course, the main candidates, so the biggest mayoral candidate, or is it everything still on a big question mark?
For now, it seems like a big question mark. I don't know if you've already talked about some of the exit polls for Lille.
Actually not.
Oh, okay. Wait, I had them a second ago, but so I don't have it right now. But as far as I read it before, as of according to the exit polls, the socialist candidate was in first place with around a third of votes, and the Greens were actually in second place. So overall, it's really great news, because, so as Fabula explained before, the way French elections work is that as soon as you reach over 10%, you can get into the second round. But typically, what happens is that only the two biggest, or the sometimes three biggest parties actually stay, and then the others try to make an alliance or find some kind of agreement with the other ones. So if the exit polls are right and the Greens are in second place, then it gives them the ability to really show themselves as the main opposition to the current mayor, which I think is great.
Thank you, Charles. Well, that is actually a very good news, and who knows what's going on in the second round in the elections. Hans Günther may be with us in a while. I think he has to switch from the mobile with the code to the computer or something like that. But we'll be extremely pleased to hear new information from him. I have a question instead for Fabiola, because this is, of course, a very, very particular case. I mean, we already had other elections, other municipal elections, but usually it's there are candidates that are participating from that town or from that city. You are an Italian living in Paris. What does it mean for you running in an election for such an important city of the world, even though you were not born there or in the same country?
Well, Volt, what we stand for is being European. And I've been living in Paris for 6 years and a half now. I am soon going to be French on top of being Italian as well, because I've asked for the double nationality. And actually, Paris is home for me. I have chose this city. I have decided to come here. It's not that like probably destiny brought me here. I don't know, but I've picked this city to live here because I love it. I feel home. It's where my life, where I built my life, where I have friends, I have my job that I really like, and it's a city that I deeply care about. And so for me, being involved in the community of the city is extremely important. And thanks to the European Union, I can be, not only I can vote, but I can be elected. It's if I were from Turkey, that would not be possible. And this is something that I think that we take for granted in the European Union, and a lot of my friends didn't know. So I encourage them to get involved and register to vote. And I feel that this is deeply important because it shows that you do not need to be born in a city to feel a part of it. So this is for me what this means, and I have to say that people took it extremely well, because I was worried that we were worried as a party that in France you have actually to put your nationality if you're not French next to your name in what people fold and put in the envelope I talked about before, and in our list, there were 4 people out of 14 that were not French. Of course, for us, this was super important because this is what we stand for. But we were not sure how people are going to react to that. And we only had very positive reactions. They're like, so you're not just talking about it, you are talking the talk and walking the walk. So that was also really good because for me, that's important, but it's also well received by people.
Thank you, Fabiola. From one candidate to another, as Fabiola was the main candidate of our list in Paris in the 9th district. On the other hand, you can see maybe that picture of that nice man, Hans-Günther Brünker, is with us in the call, and we are extremely pleased from him. Welcome, Hans-Günther. So Volt is standing for Europe and is standing for citizen engagement in politics. What has brought you to represent Volt and actually to take a stance to represent what we stand for at a general level? So even though maybe you won't be the mayor of Bamberg, you took to Bamberg the ideas of all Volt members. How did it felt like? And welcome, first of all.
Hi, Enrico. Hi, Enrico. Welcome. Well, we are in it's a very, very intense night now, and it will be a very intense morning tomorrow, the day tomorrow, because until the end of tomorrow, we don't know whether we made it to the city council. We had actually 2 separate votes here in Bamberg, one for the mayor's office, and I ran for the mayor's office pretty much to get the party known to the public. I had quite some appearances here at public discussions. We had probably 2 publications every week in the news, in the major local newspaper. And so it's okay that I got the close to 2%. We had 10 people running for the mayor's office, and we have actually 3 major parties who are really fighting for the mayor's office. So it was to be expected that many people would give their vote for one of the 3, because only 2 can run in the second round of the elections. But the very interesting for us is now, will we make it to the city council? The votes are casted, but they will be counted tomorrow. And in the local parliament, we will have most likely something like 10 to 12 parties. And up to now, it's totally open where the majorities will be. So it might be an interesting week to come to figure out who wants to work with us and whom do we want to work with.
Thank you for explaining us how that worked. Were you expecting this result? Because so far it's one of the biggest results that Volt has got at a local election. 1.7% is probably one of the biggest we've ever had.
I mean, I expected it to be somewhere between 1.5 and 2. And I mean, if the situation would have been a bit different, that it wasn't so difficult to forecast who would make it to the second round, I thought we would have had a chance to get even a bit more. But there's the current mayor. He has something like 35% now in the first round. And to make it, well, either he would have made more than 50% that it would have been elected. So since he doesn't have the 50%, he will be in the second round. And it was very, very close for the next 2 who would make it to the second round. So if that wouldn't have been the case, I would have expected even a bit more for us.
Thank you, Hans Gunther. So just to make a short highlights of what is going on tonight. Our broadcast will be a little bit shorter than what we were expecting to, mainly because of the pending calls that we have in different situations. So we're going on for another half an hour, more or less. Hopefully we're going to receive some information from Munich. Otherwise, I suggest all of our listeners to keep an eye on what is going on in workplace until tomorrow morning, so we can also give a little bit of brief to our guests, so you don't have to stay here the whole evening with us. So tonight there are 5 cities where Volt is running for elections. There are actually a few more in France where we have Volt candidates running in non-partisans list, which are one in the nearby of Lyon, Villeurbanne, and another one whose name I literally can't remember. Maybe Charles can help me.
Yeah, so when we talk about Lyon, it's actually important to correct. I mean, we're running in both Lyon and Villeurbanne, which are in the Lyon area, and they're both within the same group of citizens. So the movement is called 100% Citoyen, which is a citizens movement. They're relatively centrist, and so members of Volt are both helping within that coalition in Lyon itself, as well as Villeurbanne, which is outside of Lyon in the suburbs. Outside of that, we also have one candidate in Bondu who's running within the citizens list, but not with the Volt etiquette, not with the Volt tag, just running for herself. And we also have someone in Le Chenet, which is slightly outside of Paris, who's also running without the Volt tag, but he's still a Volter, a very active Volter. And so we're both looking forward to seeing the results there, and we hope for the best. But unfortunately, for various reasons, they didn't run with Volt because it was a citizens list. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess that is the case for a lot of smaller places where actually even the bigger parties are not showing up because it would be too complicated to divide yourself between left and right or other political areas in such small environments. So yeah, we have Lille, Lyon, and Paris as the main cities. In Lille, we are running in a joint coalition with the Green Party, and the first forecasts are saying that our list will make it to the second round against the socialist candidate, which is actually a prominent person in French politics, and that makes us kind of the rival of the big politician, and that can also lead to surprise because you never know what is going on. I just got, in fact, Charles is saying that the exiting mayor Martine Aubry is leading the polls in Lille with 30%, while the second candidate Stéphane Bally for the Green Party, along with Volt, is with 23.5%, while La République En Marche avec Violette Spilebou is with 18.1%. Thank you very much, Charles, for this information, because of course, even though Volt doesn't have a name there, we are with the Green Party in a joint list, and we are running for an extremely important place. There is a forecast plan for Munich, says Tim. So yeah, Tim, do you have more updates for Munich?
Yeah, there are no results yet, but you can read a little information. There will be there will be results, but only a trend, not real results, and there will only be the number of votes, which is it's a bit complicated to explain because the electoral system in Germany in the local election is quite interesting. Therefore, there will be only a very limited forecast for the votes, and it will be I don't know when, but there it says that after all mayor votes are counted, there will be the first counts for the city council votes, and then there will be a trend. But I don't know when this will be, because Munich is quite a big city and there are not all regions counted yet for the mayor office. And therefore it will be, I think, later this night or even tomorrow morning, as it will be in Bamberg.
And we have also the candidate from Lyon, Emile Oumedi, is in line with us. Good evening, Emilien. How was it going? How is so far the sensation? Because I guess that even in Lyon, you don't have the availability of the counted votes freshly on your hands. But how is it going? What is the first reaction after the polling station have closed?
In Lyon, as in the rest of France, it's very exceptional. Like we have an abstention rate that is very important. I think it's in Lyon we had at 5 p.m. like 35% of voters that have been to the bureau to vote. So I don't know what to expect. I really don't know what the results will be. I just hope that the Nationalist Party, Rassemblement National, will not just gain all the vote, but we are waiting for the results right now. So we just we are in the expectation to see what it will be. I don't know what would be our result, because we were a list of independent persons, different parties, an ecologist movement, Volt, and also an association in Lyon. So we we expect to do some result, but I think the score will not be that's high. Maybe because of the abstention, the non-participation, but we'll see.
Thank you very much, Emilian. So right now I have you mentioned the Rassemblement National, and I have a question for basically all of our guests from tonight, because of course there are a lot of big question marks in the elections, but one of the main points is the results of the populist and the extreme right. There was the case of Hamburg about a month ago, where in some areas of the city, Volt even managed to get a better result than Alternative for Deutschland, which is extremely great. We are not expecting the same, of course, tonight in the different occasions, but I would like to know from the people that are joining our conversation. I think now my microphone has gone again. I don't know if you can hear me. Do you? No, I think my microphone has gone from the conversation with the other with the candidates.
Enrico, are you there? I think there are technical problems, and I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I think they cannot hear me anymore. This has already happened before in the evening. So I will try to reconnect. We're using Google Talk, so that is the reason why there can be problems in the connection. My question, of course, is regarding the presence of extreme right parties in the elections. Of course, Volt sees in them the biggest threat to the European Union, and we managed already to receive extremely interesting results,
which is 1.6% higher than the last election, but it's not that high than expected, I think. The CSU, the Christian Party, lost 15.5%. And therefore the gain of 1.6% in AfD is quite little. It's not that big, and it's the fourth strong party in Munich, but that's not big for the AfD in Munich.
Thank you very much. I think now that maybe the technical problem is solved. At least I hope so. And thank you, team, for that. I would ask the same question then to our French representative, Fabiola. Did you experience in Paris the presence of Rassemblement National, even though Paris maybe is a bit multicultural place where certain nationalist ideas maybe do not find place as in more rural areas?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Paris is very cosmopolitan. It's very, as I was saying, it's well taken. The fact that I'm Italian and I'm running for the city, which clashes with Rassemblement National, and historically their presence in the city, it's very, very low at every election. Not only the municipal, so not only the mayor one, but also if we make analysis on all type of elections, when we analyze just the Paris component, they're always very low on the European level, on presidential level, etc. So Paris, I think it's at this stage, for this specific thing, it's not very representative of the French sentiment towards the far right. And I hope it will be the same for this election. I hope that there will be no surprises for this election. Lille, I think probably Charles can give a little bit more information, but I think Lille is the same. And generally the big cities north, they don't experience that, but we have other like big parties, but Rassemblement National is, crossing fingers, never the big challenge in Paris. I don't know, Charles, if you want to take it up and speak a little bit more about other cities in France.
Yeah,
or in
sure.
Lyon.
Um, uh, with regards to Paris itself, the Rassemblement National typically does not get very good results. On average, at least in the previous elections in 2014, it got around 5%, which in my view is still 5% too much. But relative to the rest of France, it is relatively low results. As you go further north, closer to the Belgium border, unfortunately, you do get more people who do support the far right, mainly because it is deindustrialized towns with a lot of frustrations and a lot of inequalities. And then you have the same problem in the south as well. One of the cities people are looking at very closely right now is Perpignan, which is not far from the Spanish border, where the candidate on the far right is competing as the potential next mayor. In the previous elections, he had the best results in the first round, but then in the second round, all of the other candidates rallied around the opposition and won. The big question tonight and tomorrow morning will be, are they able to rally the same coalition again, or is the far right going to be able to win this city, which would be historic for them, because as of today, the far right has never won a city in France with more than 100,000 citizens.
Thank you very much, Charles. I think you cannot hear me again, so I have to restart again the call in Google Meet. It is something that I hope we can fix for our next broadcast. Unfortunately, it seemed there would be quite a lot of a wait for the next round, because in May we were supposed to have regional and local elections in Italy, but the coronavirus pandemic unfortunately prompted the Italian government to postpone those local elections. Not much for the for what is going on with the voting in May, because hopefully the situation will be over, but of course there is a lot of bureaucratical aspects that need to take care already today, and this is not possible, and that won't be possible for the next weeks. Hans, yeah, I think now you can hear me. I'm really sorry, we had some technical problems. I want to know if Hans Günther is still there, because he got a call from a newspaper talking about the second round, and this is really interesting. Like, are we going to support anybody in the second round?
Yeah, I was just talking about that. Yeah, we have now here a social democrat, but who is actually very, very, very conservative and probably not a social democrat at all. He's the acting mayor, and he's in the second round, and the runner-up is from the Greens. And I just got asked whom we are going to support. We have pre-discussed that in the team, but we will discuss it over the next 2 days in a bit larger group, and then we will make a public announcement whom we are going to support. And it might happen that we have a green mayor here in the city of Bamberg, which would be really a revolution for a town of this size with around about 80,000 inhabitants in a very, very, very conservative area.
Yeah, actually, I think that the poor result of the Christian Social Union is quite of a news. I mean, their stronghold is Bavaria. They have been basically running with a different name in Bavaria compared with the rest of Germany, where there is instead the CDU, the Christian Democrats, which is represented by the Prime Minister, the Chancellor Angela Merkel. Why do you think there was this collapse of the Christian Social Union, and what it can mean also in a national perspective, considering that they have been always tending to the right compared to the CDU, at least in the last 5-10 years?
Yeah, that's really quite interesting. It's a bit of a local topic, because the gentleman who ran for this for the CSU here in Bamberg, he is for the CSU relatively liberal. and he was probably too liberal for his own party. So since our social democratic mayor, who's in office right now, is a very conservative person, many of the CSU actually gave him his vote. And that's the reason why the CSU, so the counterpart in Bavaria of the Christian Democratic Party, didn't make it to the second round.
That is actually a really interesting point of view. We still have 13 minutes to go, so I think I would go with another question for all the candidates. So my question now goes to Emilien Oumegdi from Lyon. So my question for him is, as we don't have any result, any anticipation of what is going on for Volt or for the list of parties where Emilien is running in. My question for him is, what do you hope for the next future in general for France? I mean, there were a lot of expectations in general for La République En Marche from Emmanuel Macron, but it seems that a lot of the points that were raised about the integration of France in Europe and let's say maybe a little bit more liberal approach to the economics were clashing a lot with the expectation of the people. We've seen it with the Gilets jaunes, with the yellow vest movement. So in general, what would be the best result tonight in general in France to see a little bit more hope and less confusion about local politics, at least from your point of view?
Thank you, Enrico. Well, I don't think in Lyon in particular, it's not good to be La République En Marche because we had in the city, I think, 3 different candidates that 2 of them were La République En Marche, but they left the party, and the other one just got recruited by the party to fully represent La République En Marche. I think this is very complicated for La République En Marche to continue in the future. I don't know. They are facing so much crisis, contestation in their own ranks since the Gilets jaunes, since the strike in December and January. Now with the pandemic situation, right now there are a lot. Some of the candidates are calling for postponing the second round of the elections. So we don't know if there will be a second round. Because with the abstention rate, the people that don't go to vote, they are really thinking to postpone, I think, the second round if there are no voters to go. But I don't know. We have to see the result, and for the future, I'd say this is quite difficult to analyze right now. But I think Europe Écologie Les Verts, which is the Green Party, I think that they will have good results globally, like in the European elections. But for the rest of the parties, I don't know.
Thank you, Emilien Oumegdi. The same question goes also to Fabiola and Charles with another perspective, because La République En Marche in Paris had another scandal. This was a more personal scandal rather than related to the party, but the person that was supposed to be the candidate mayor was involved in a sex tape, let's say, with a girl with whom he was not married, because he was married to another woman, and he was having this sort of sexting relationship with another woman. And this has sparked a lot of criticism around his figure, especially as he was being presented a lot as a family man, committed to his family. So, do you think that this occasion has damaged furthermore the party of Emmanuel Macron for the elections in Paris?
Well, actually, yes and no, because I think that the candidate they put after him, Agnès Buzyn, which was the former Minister of Health, she is more likable than Griveaux. So in terms of she speaks more to the people, and it's actually a discussion that we had with Charles inside of Volt about this part. Um, because it looked like it went slightly up the percentage of likability and possibility of them winning the election. It went up. I think that there were 15%, and then with Buzyn they went to 17, 18. So in terms of likability, I don't think that it had a bad impact. Nonetheless, I think I agree with Emilien when he says that in terms of stability for the party, I'm not really sure that it was really helpful. Also, because in Paris we also had another debacle. There was another problem. We have also Cédric Villani, who's running as an independent, but he was former party in the party of Macron. So he was also La République En Marche. And basically what happened is that Griveaux, the one that had the sexting with so the scandal, he was the one that the party picked, and that Villani he was also running for the party, and when he was not picked, he still decided to run for mayor. So this already created a fraction internally, which undermine the stability of the party. So between that and the Griveaux sex tape, I'm not really sure that the stability is at the center of the party. The crisis is palpable. But in terms of likability, Buzyn is actually more likable than Griveaux. We will see the results, but it looks that way. And I think that Charles agreed, but if you want to add something on that part.
Yeah, no, sure. I totally agree with Fabiola on this. Strangely enough, despite the scandal and all the bad attention it gave to La République En Marche, overall they didn't entirely come out of it as losers, because the new candidate who was chosen was actually, like she said, very likable. The main problem that La République En Marche had to do, as Fabiola said, with regards to Villani, who was running against. So he is a previous member of the parliament for La République En Marche, and he is running against them essentially. This has kind of divided La République En Marche, and overall Villani is polling at around 7%, which makes quite a big difference. It's basically the difference between being third and being second within a lot of districts. And so this division within La République En Marche has been quite destructive for them.
Thank you very much, Charles. So we're heading towards the end of our broadcast. We still have the two Germans, the two Bavarians to ask from. I would first of all thank Hans-Günther Brünker. He wrote in the common chat that actually AfD will have some representative in the city council. Given that maybe tomorrow we may have a good news and you will be in the city council, what can be our strategy to bring more Europe in the city of Bamberg, and maybe counter the actions and the propaganda of those who would like to see basically our ideas destroyed?
See, what we have to do is really bottom line politics. I had Damian here 2 weeks ago, and we had a meeting with one of the department leaders of the city here. Damian is at the EU Parliament, is now responsible for his unit for Digital Europe, for this program, and we really sat down and discussed with the department head here, what can Europe do to help Bamberg in terms of digitalization? And that's what we have to do in the city council. We have to do down to the earth politics, really for the help of the people, for the good of the city. And when we do that, then we will be able to fight, well, very, very strange right-wing theories. The candidates from the right wing, they in the whole campaign time, they didn't show up at all. It's just this party will be elected no matter what, and it doesn't matter who is on the list. And we have to show in the parliament then that these guys are not able to do proper politics.
Thank you very much, Hans Günther. Well, that remembers me a lot the election that we had to take in Novi, where we were running in a center-left coalition against the candidate from Lega. And basically, we used to say they could have put there a goat and people would have voted just because it was from the party of Salvini. We have a news from Charles, the Prime Minister and candidate mayor of Le Havre, Edouard Philippe, is ahead in the city with 43% of the votes, but I think the most interesting news is that it will go to the second round with the candidate of the Communist Party, Jean-Paul Lecoq, with 34%. So we are talking about the extreme right heading the polls in many places around Europe, but Le Havre is actually heading exactly on the other side of the politics. Thank you, Charles, for this information. So, team, my last question to you, and the last question for this broadcast, if no one else has anything to add, do you see anything else going on around? Like, do you have any updates from what is regarding the Municipal Council of Munich, for instance?
There are no updates for the city council, and yeah.
That's pretty much all. So, thank you.
Yes.
I think there's a bit of a delay.
No, there are no new informations.
Okay, thank you very much, Team Goldman, for that, and thank you to Fabiola, thank you to Shar, Emilienne, Sven, that was in line with us, and Hans Günther Brunker, which was the candidate mayor for Bamberg. So this is all for tonight. It has been a little bit shorter, in particular because there is a lot going on. At the same time today, there is basically a pan-national Italian meetup talking about the coronavirus crisis, which is basically closing down the whole country, and this is going to happen also in some of the places like Spain, like Germany, that has closed the borders today. It may happen in France. It is happening in Denmark. It is not happening, which is quite frightening, on a certain point in Sweden and probably also in the Netherlands. So there are actions that need to be taken, and a hope that is my hope, but I hope and I think is also the hope of everyone else, is that the day this crisis will be over and the day the borders will be reopened, everyone will start to appreciate more the fact that in Europe we don't have borders, because I think this is an extremely important thing. The fact that for the first time in many years the border have been closed maybe will make us understand how important it is to have a functioning Europe. So thank you very much to all. We don't have any other information apart from the one in Bamberg, where our major candidate Hans Günther Brunker got 1.7%, which is, I would say, the best result Volt ever got at the municipal election so far, along with the one in Mainz last year. Most likely the joint list with the Greens, where Sven Frank is one of the main candidates, will be running for the second round against Martine Aubry in Lille. I suggest you to just check Tomorrow Workplace for more information, or our Facebook pages. Our next appointment, we don't know when it will be, but it will most likely involve again Volt at our next municipal election. Thank you very much. I want to thank and say goodbye also to all the guests for our broadcasting. Goodbye and good night.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
One.